My name is Zach Cavender. I'm the Regional Vice President for Pennrose. Run our operations in Texas and Oklahoma, based in Houston.
I'm Connor Kenny, a principal with Capital A Housing, a local affordable mixed income, mixed use developer here in Austin.
So I'll start. At Pennrose, we are a national affordable housing developer. We operate in 7 regional offices and have developments in 19 different states, as well as Washington, D.C., Puerto Rico, and the U.S. Virgin Islands. And this project fits, very well with the types of developments that we like to do. Over 100 plus of our projects have direct partners with municipalities or municipal entities. We've got a lot of experience in developing mixed income, mixed use. We have over 100 employees that are just on our development team. And so we've got a lot of capacity and manpower to deliver to all the projects that we pursue. We've also got some background employees that help, our staff as well. We have an entity that helps us on construction design, management, to deliver, the development as designed, on budget, on schedule. It's a company called Innova that was originally a Pennrose organization, but is spun off, and they're a complete management affiliate that's there to help us on our construction management process, as well as operating the project. Post construction, we do all our own in-house management, property management, for the entirety of the project. And so I think we're set up to deliver on all facets of the development, partnering with Connor's group, who's very Austin centric, but we've delivered similar projects to this, and we'll touch on that in other questions, but across the country, and we're really excited about this opportunity.
Thanks, Zach. Yeah, we are a local group, and we've been developing a lot of experience in working on projects just like this. We think that the community engagement and dialogue is a huge part of the successful pre-development phase of this project. So we have a great track record there, a lot of expertise, a lot of folks who've been engaged in the civic community in Austin for a long time. Very familiar with the local community, not just Austin, but with the neighborhoods around this area and with the site itself. We've been engaging with this site for 2 or 3 years. I've had a baby and more gray hairs since we started talking about Ryan Drive. Our group is really skilled at all of the practical issues around coordination and permitting with local Austin entities, so we don't face delays or unexpected obstacles there. We picked a very local team, so that this is a team who can meet in person, who can be on the site. Our architect, our landscape development, our civil engineer, all very experienced with Austin requirements, and they're going to be able to also be present, in person and virtually for the community engagement, the community dialogue that we have. And then in general, I would say, we know that trying to get this track developed has been a traumatic experience for a lot of the neighbors and perhaps for the city, and with the previous round not going well. So when we heard this might be coming back up, we were really enthusiastic about that, and took a long time to pick a partner in Pennrose who had the experience with mixed use stuff, with mixed income workforce stuff, and just projects that weren't cookie cutter apartment complexes, because we knew that was what the neighbors wanted and what the city was going to want to see here. And we just didn't want to leave any doubt that this team couldn't execute on this project.
I think, like any real estate development project, there are always going to be challenges that come up, just as you go through the design, construction, implementation, lease up process. And Pennrose as a group has been doing this for the better part of 40 years. We've got over 27,000 units delivered, as I said before, across the country, including in Texas. And we have really seen it all when it comes to developing real estate in various parts of the country. And as I touched on in the previous question, we've set up guardrails and processes to deal with those challenges before they occur, and then also as they occur. As I said, we've got capacity to really have the correct manpower on all of our development projects. We incorporate our property manager on the front end for design purposes, for lease up purposes, making sure that what we design on the front end is going to be what we want to deliver to the tenants, at the time that we deliver the project. Things related to construction timing, scheduling. COVID has thrown a lot of curveballs in managing materials and how you get those delivered and lead time to get those. And so we've got a strong construction management team that's their entire job is to manage our construction processes, manage relationships with the GC, with the design team, making sure everyone's on the same page and that we are delivering the scope on schedule and on budget. And that's something that I feel like we excel at.
Yeah, and in addition to those, kind of normal challenges, we're in extraordinary times in terms of financing. As we said, we reached out to Pennrose after reviewing a lot of different firms and wanted to make sure that this was not going to be a development company that was going to stumble during that financing stage and not be able to raise the needed equity and debt. So I think that's the biggest challenge in development right now, and I think we're well equipped to handle that. In addition, I think it's going to be a challenge here. One of the things that we've learned at Seabrook Square across over on the east side of project that we're doing there, where we have a large public space, is just being able to finance a public space that's a great space. Workforce housing development, even though it's not, low income development, it's not generating a bunch of extra cash that can be used to finance the kind of park space that I think the neighbors want here. So we very deliberately chose a process and a landscape architect who has experience with designing park space. Kingsbury Common in Peace Park is one of them. Because it's going to be a collaborative effort. I suspect that what the community engagement process is going to produce is an impact for a park space that is more than just a lawn and a couple of trees. And it is going to be a challenge raising the money for that, but I have faith that everyone's going to come together. And so we picked a team that was going to be able to produce the kind of imagery and budgets and then expertise in talking to funders who are going to be able to go out and raise some philanthropic, private, public dollars for the park space. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that are going to be here in delivering a project that the community really wants. And then just beyond that, kind of the regular challenges of minimizing impact on neighbors during construction, property management. I think it's a real virtue to have the experience of folks like Pennrose and their internal or affiliated groups for construction management and property management. But then just the fact that we're up the road and, can and will be dropping by nearly every day to keep an eye on things, I think is one way that we just try to anticipate challenges early and see them coming and be able to nip it in the bud before it becomes a serious problem.
I think as Connor just touched on, one of the biggest things that we will focus on, especially on the front end, but then also during the construction process, is the relationship with the community, minimizing impact during construction, minimizing the growing pains, as he said, and really focusing on a collaborative effort to deliver what we want to deliver for the affordability of the multifamily units, but then also the vision for the park and how that will be incorporated into the neighborhood beyond just delivering a multifamily building with some public space. I think a lot of at Pennrose specifically, we're very integrated into the communities that we work in. Most of the communities that we work in ask us to work in those communities, and so the collaborative effort, sort of taking the goals that want to be achieved by the local community and seeing how we can use our expertise to deliver on those goals is how we like to work and do business, and what attracted us to this response, as well as working with Connor's team. And that this is a site that's been in development for a long time. the HFC has a vision for it. We think we have the skills and the expertise to deliver on that vision and work together to see what the best ways are to achieve the affordability component, the design component, and the public use component, and have those all married together in a community and in a development that the entire community will be proud of.
Yeah, we're really excited about the park being a component of this. I think one thing in Austin that we don't do particularly well is activate our park space by having commercial or nonprofit or other uses that are kind of integrated in or bordering a park, so that it's not just a quiet green space, but also a place that's activated and lively. But that being said, we are really embracing the fact that this is an RFQ, not an RFP. We don't have a fully baked proposal here. We specifically picked a architect and a landscape architect who specialize in community-driven design, and expect that to be a dialogue process. We're probably, I'm going to guess, the only team that's submitting here that has an urban designer who's on board with this proposal, that's going to be talking with the community and coming up with a cohesive design. We have our consulting nonprofit, Redline Parkway, who's going to be helping us out with understanding and kind of tapping into the larger trail network and the transit there and the red line stop, and hopefully the orange line stop before too long. We also, we do still have a good relationship with the neighboring property owners, and I haven't given up hope that some of those tracks might be able to be incorporated into here. It's not a requirement, but I know that's something that a lot of folks in the neighborhood and the community care about. So it's something that we definitely want to pursue, go after, and turn this RFQ into a proposal over the next several months in dialogue with the community. I mean, if you know us and our company, that's what we're all about. Probably, almost every project we do is in partnership with local nonprofits, community groups, local governments. It's something that we really excel in, and really excites us a lot about this project.
I'll start. Transit-oriented development is something that Pennrose has done a lot of at the corporate level. It's one of our main vision and mission in terms of the projects we like to pursue. We have a lot of offices and projects that we've done in the Northeast, in Boston, Greater New York City, Washington, D.C., all the way down to Atlanta. And in those areas, as I think everyone understands, public transit is a lot deeper in the culture than it is in Texas. And now we're getting better in Texas, but the projects that we've done in the past, from a corporate standpoint, they all usually have some level of public transportation in it. A lot with, local light rail or even long Amtrak rail, allowing for our residents to be able to get around their communities, their areas without needing a car. Myself personally, I've been doing transit-oriented developments my entire career. Some background on me: I've been with Pennrose for about a year. Previously, I was with a local affordable housing developer in Houston, and we focused on transit-oriented development within Houston. We did 5 projects that were within a mile and a half of downtown Houston, all along the Metro Light Rail that's been developed through and around downtown Houston, University of Houston, all the way to the medical center. And one of those projects was actually similar to this. It was a workforce development, no LIHTC, all third-party raised capital. So that's something that we excel at, and we develop, and we strive to focus on in our developments that we pursue, is the ability to develop near transit and offer that amenity to our tenants.
Yeah, TOD, I think the wrong way to approach it is just not building a lot of parking and just saying, hey, we're around transit, we're just going to go parking light, and boom, that's TOD development. So, because all that's going to result in is the parking getting pushed out into the neighboring streets, and I don't think that's what anybody wants. Future tenants, the operators, the owners of the building, as well as the neighborhood. So one thing we've been working a lot on over the last few years is what we call transportation demand management. So there's a local organization here called Movability that has worked with employers so far, but we've been talking to them about branching out into working with developers. They come in and will help residents kind of plan their commute and understand what all the different resources are that are available to them. Give discounted transit passes. We've had great discussions with Metro Bike out of Kent Metro. They've explained to us, hey, if you can run an electrical conduit to a pad and just pour a concrete pad, that makes it super easy for us to come in and install some bike sharing stations. We talked about our partnership with consulting with the Red Line Parkway that we have on this. We get this, are going to be actively looking to how do we, attract the tenants through advertising and marketing who want to live a car light lifestyle, and then how do we make it easy for them to continue in that lifestyle? You're setting yourself up for disaster if you just advertise this as a regular apartment building and then just don't build much parking. Right. So, but that being said, this area, because of the transit, because of the commercial growth, the growth of the corridor, I think we're already seeing a lot of parking kind of filter out into neighborhood streets. I've had some really interesting discussions with people in the neighborhood about creating a parking benefit district in this area, which could combine residential parking permits with metering the spaces that tend to get filled up with guest parking, so that we can kind of ensure that there's always parking available for residents, but also be, encouraging people to not park and leave their car there like all day and then take the train or the bus, to their
1 minute.
workplace, and well generating funds for things like sidewalks and other pedestrian amenities.
Well, I would say we've got a lot of experience, with doing projects, outside of LIHTC, and having a municipal community partner, wanting to minimize their investment in the project. As obviously the goal is to, utilize those dollars as efficiently as possible to invest in as many units as possible. And this is where I think we have a really strong background as developing across the country with relationships with all lenders, both traditional conventional banks as well as agency financing, HUD, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, to really figure out the best way to place the debt for a project like this to maximize the proceeds that are available to the project. We've done a number of non LIHTC affordable housing developments and have a bullpen of about close to 20 different investors that we've worked with and talked with about investing in, ESG style developments where, they're investing in a project for a financial return. But one of the missions of those funds is to invest in, social impact things like affordable housing. We've got a project that we're working through currently, and we gave you some projects that have been completed in the RFQ, but some other projects we've been looking at currently with this similar style of development in Buffalo, a redevelopment of a public housing in Nashville with a public partner that has a lot of non-LIHTC affordable as well as market rate, and roughly 1,400 units. So it's going to have a large equity raise to create the development or capital stack for that development, as well as properties along New York, New Jersey, and ones in Texas as well. It's Houston and San Antonio. So this is something that's become, an avenue of developing housing, not relying on just tax credits to do affordable housing, having housing for the missing middle of folks who make too much money to qualify for a lot of tax credit housing, but still have a high need for high quality affordable housing in areas like Austin, which have high cost of living, high rent, high expenses. And so, we've got a lot of tools in our toolbox to put together the financing, and have already discussed with some groups on being interested in directly financing this project, and Connor will touch on that.
Yeah, we think one of the strongest things about this team is the Austin Housing Conservancy coming in and being very, very interested in this project. And having joined the team, they haven't participated in a ground up development before, but they've had a pretty big infusion of investment and are looking to get into that. They don't typically do the funding during constructions, so we've started working with Bank OZK and looking at other ways to basically kind of bridge the financing through the construction phase so that we can maybe convert that into housing conservancy equity investment upon stabilization. So, we don't have that figured out yet, but the Housing Conservancy really likes this site, really wants to get into ground up. Bank OZK, they know them and want the same. So we're really excited to just kind of problem solve on this. Another way we've looked at bridging until AHC can come in. Private activity bonds could be something there. Would be love and be interested to problem solve with AHFC about other kind of short-term financing, not the kind of 40-year RHDA award that they normally make to just get us through to that stabilization point. But having the Austin Housing Conservancy and then the network of banks that they have means that we have equity investors who are recognize that workforce housing
One
done
minute.
right has lower risk, and so they can accept returns and work with the operator when difficulties are encountered, because they're a mission-driven investor, right? And having a local mission-driven investor, I think is huge, and one of the things we're most excited about. All that being said, we're seeing in Austin right now, one of the LIHTC 9% awards went to a project that is using a new TDHCA rule that gives an award to a project with a child care center on board. So it beats out the supportive housing projects. We have a child care operator who's really interested in this site, and that's something we'd also love to explore. But I think bottom line is that this is a team that has a real depth of financial knowledge and is going to problem solve on this thing together with AHFC, and we understand that RHDA is not going to carry the weight here.
Yeah, I just would like to say that we're really excited about this project. As Connor mentioned, our groups have been discussing working together for a while now, and we're really excited to do so with this project. We feel like our strengths really synergize together. We've got a breadth and depth of knowledge and expertise from doing developments, across the country as well as in Texas. And we think, the Capital A group is really strong in developing high quality developments like what we develop, but with an expertise in the local Austin market. So I really don't see a better way to set up a team to tackle an interesting but challenging project like this one would be.
Yeah, it's we're just really, really excited about this. I mean, I was a consultant, but not in the driver's seat on the original RFP proposal that was selected for this site that ended up getting pulled back. Spent a lot of time thinking and planning about this site. Our team loves this site. We've had a lot of conversations locally. So we, when we look at the potential with the park, when we look at the Tanique, the amazing landscape architect that we brought on who did Kingsbury Commons, and the potential to just create like a great urban park space here, and integrate that in with workforce housing and having it on train lines and transit lines. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we dream about building. This is the kind of site and kind of opportunity that we dream about. This is not another plug and chug for us to do another, development. The one thing I might say about us is just that, our level of enthusiasm for doing something great here is tremendous. And we will go through a lot of kind of pain and hassle to make sure it goes right. And, there's a reason why developers shy away from the projects they call deals with brain damage, right? The deals that are a hassle. And that is not something that we are shying away from here. It's something that we're embracing in order to do it right. And we would just be absolutely thrilled to have the opportunity to work with the city and the community and the neighborhoods on this.